Welcome to the first episode of Amazing Myths and Legends. This episode we are looking at the ancient Greeks. The ancient Greeks had many myths of creation and heroes. These heroes were often helped by the gods to defeat terrible monsters that wreaked havoc to citizens of towns and cities. This episode is designed to educate people on the ancient Greeks and their myths. Hey. How would you like to go to ancient Greece? Not really. Ancient Greece. I said no. Ow. Where are we? Ancient Greece. No, impossible. Really? Well, there's a 12-foot Cyclops staring at you right now. Don't make eye contact. Freaky. Okay, anything else I should know? All the myths that we read about? Here, they are real. So, the bad ones too? Yeah, like the Cyclops behind me. Eek. So, where are we? Judging from the weapons, a war zone. What weapons? Stop doing that. Yeah, sorry. Anyhow, welcome to the city of Troy. It looks like it's in its last few days. Wow, Troy! And the wooden horse! How did it all begin? Well, I might as well start at the beginning of how the world came to be, according to the Greeks. So, are you ready for a story? In the beginning, there was nothing, only darkness and a bird called Nynx, the bird with black wings. She gave birth to a single egg, which she sat on for ages. After a very long time, the egg began to stir with life. It then hatched, and out came the god of love, also known as Eros. The egg was cracked into two, and Eros made the top half Uranus, the sky, and the bottom half Gaia, the earth. Being the god of love, Eros made them fall in love. Anyhow, they had many children. These children were the Titans, the fathers and mothers to the gods. One of these children, Cronus, agreed to help his mother Gaia to destroy Uranus because he was a bad father and husband. One night, Uranus was sleeping with Gaia. Cronus arrived and to say the plan was well thought of, and we'll leave it at that. Once the fighting was done, from Uranus' spilt blood created giants, the Ashri nymphs, and the Erinyes. As Uranus was retreating, said that Cronus will pay. Cronus became the new ruler of the Titans, and he married his sister Rhea. Both of Cronus' parents had said that he would be overthrown by one of his children, and to prevent this, Cronus ate all of his offspring. Rhea, his wife, was quite angry at this, so when she was to have her sixth young, she hid and gave the boy to the nymphs, and gave her husband a rock and some cloths to eat. Many years later, the boy, whose name is Zeus, grew up and became strong and mighty. Eventually he returned to the home of the Titans as a servant. He gave his father some drugs that made him throw up his brothers and sisters, who being gods could not die. Once Zeus had his brothers and sisters, and because they were grateful for their freedom, they made Zeus their leader. Cronus was not defeated yet, and so it became a war of the gods and Titans. Atlas became the leader for the Titans, and Zeus was there for the gods. For a long time, the Titans were believed to be going to win, but Zeus had an idea. Zeus freed the Cyclops and the Hecatoconcheires. Prothemus, who was a Titan and who had stayed out of the war so far, joined Zeus. The Cyclops gave Zeus lightning bolts as weapons, and the Hecatoconcheires waited in ambush armed with boulders. So, any questions? Yes. So, can you tell me exactly how the world started? There was nothing in the beginning, except for a bird named Nyx, who laid a golden egg in which out came the god of love. The god made the two halves into Gaia, the earth, and Uranus, the heavens, and made them fall in love. They had many children, including the Titans. I find this hard to believe, because the egg would have to be massive to have two planets inside, and how can two planets have children? So, how did it affect people's daily lives? The men were often the ones who did the politics, construction and trade, while the women raised the children. Why is that? I think this is because the male gods were the ones who did the fighting, so the human men did most of the work. So, what are the main monsters the Greeks believed in? The Greeks believed in many monsters, including Cyclops, Hecatoncheires, giants, ash-tree nymphs, Typhorus, Cerberus, sirens. I believe that these monsters could not possibly exist, as there would be bodies and bones. So are these myths believable? I believe that all these myths are just that, myths. They cannot be real. Because Atlas is supposed to be holding up the world on his shoulders, but we have found that the world is floating, not being held up on a massive man's shoulders. Cerberus, the three-headed dog, has never been seen, so it must be dead, but you'd think a massive three-headed dog skeleton would be hard to miss. I also don't see how a single man could defeat a three-headed dog without a weapon. So, would you like to go home now? Yes. Well, there you go. Thank you. I hope we learned a lot. I did. Good. I have to go now. Bye. So you may still have a few questions, such as what is a myth, or how these myths have been passed down, but this is where those questions are answered. A myth is a story of unknown authorship that could explain some amazing activity that the people of that time did not understand. Making stories of those things made them feel more safe, as they can make up ideas of what had happened. There are 4 types of myths: creation myths, myths of the gods, afterlife myths, and myths of heroes. A creation myth is how the culture thought the world was made. The Greeks thought that the earth was part of an egg that Nyx the bird laid. Myths of the gods are myths of what people thought the gods were doing. The Greeks thought that the gods fought the Titans to figure out which would rule. Afterlife myths are what people thought happened to your body or soul when you died. The Greeks saw that you had to go past Cerberus, the three-headed dog, to enter the underworld. Once you were in, Cerberus would never let you out. The final type of myth is the myth of heroes. This myth involves what the heroes had done or are about to do. Usually hero myths involve the hero slaying a monster or having a large thing to do in a war. Hercules was a hero for the Greek. He captured Cerberus without a weapon and redeemed himself to a king. There are a few ways myths could be passed down. The first way is verbal, such as storytelling. These stories were often passed down from generation to generation. There was usually one teller of these stories in each society. They were greatly valued. They were not necessarily the author, but the performance often included dance, props, and music. The second way myths were passed down was by writing. The myths that were told verbally were then written down, becoming part of written and recorded history.